My dad was in his 50s when he pledged and got me to pledge. He was so excited because this was it. We used to take turns playing X-Wing together and eventually making a LAN at home to fly TIE fighters. He taught me how to fly, and this was going to be the game where we could finally fly together and play in a thriving universe. Well, at least CIG was gracious and transferred his account to me when he passed. So 5 more years. I don't even care anymore. My wingman's gone. This was one of the early backers of a dream, a touching note one of the backers wrote in a recent post on Reddit. It started with a vision, a space simulation so ambitious it promised to redefine the gaming industry, a world where players could explore a universe without boundaries, pilot spacecraft with unparalleled realism, and immerse themselves in an economy and ecosystem that mirrored our own, but in space. StarCitizen launched its crowdfunding campaign in October 2012, spearheaded by industry veteran Chris Roberts. The pitch resonated deeply with gamers, raising over $2 million in just 30 days. Today, that number has ballooned to over $600 million. To understand the frustration, we need to go back to those early days. When StarCitizen was announced, it wasn't just a game, it was a revolution. Chris Roberts, known for the Wing Commander series, presented a pitch that felt too good to be true. Procedurally generated planets, multiplayer interactions, dynamic economies, the list went on. For many gamers, especially those nostalgic for the golden age of space sims, this was the project they had been waiting for their entire lives. Another backer since 2013 writes, I remember watching the campaign video and just feeling this rush. It was everything I'd ever wanted in a game. I pledged $300 almost immediately, and at first it felt great. The updates were exciting, the community was buzzing, and it felt like we were part of something historic. But then years went by, and all I got were concept ships and more promises. Stories like these are not unique. Between 2012 and 2020, StarCitizen raised hundreds of millions of dollars. But what did backers receive in return? Concept art, promotional videos, and more promises. The game's core features, many of which were outlined in the original Kickstarter, remained incomplete. By 2016, dissent was growing. Articles began to surface questioning the management of StarCitizen. Critics pointed to the game's sprawling scope, frequent delays, and lack of transparency. Lawsuits were filed by some disgruntled backers demanding refunds for a product they believed would never be finished. For backers who had pledged thousands of dollars, the emotional toll was immense. Some described it as a kind of grief, mourning the loss of the dream they had bought into. Others felt trapped, their investments too substantial to walk away from. Another backer writes, I've spent over $1,000 on ships alone. That's real money, money I could have spent on my family or saved for the future. But I kept telling myself, just wait, it'll be worth it. Now, I'm not so sure. Despite all this, StarCitizen isn't a scam. At least not in the traditional sense. Development is ongoing, and parts of the game are playable. The alpha version offers a glimpse of what the final product might look like, but for many, these glimpses aren't enough. So, where does the money go? The massive funding has allowed Cloud Imperium Games to expand dramatically. The company now boasts multiple studios worldwide and a team of over 700 employees. It's an empire built on the hopes of its backers. But with great resources come great expectations, and those expectations aren't being met, at least not on the timeline players were promised. Take the much-anticipated Squadron 42, a single-player campaign featuring Hollywood stars like Mark Hamill and Gillian Anderson. Originally slated for a 2014 release, it remains unfinished in 2025. Players who pledged for early access are still waiting. Today, StarCitizen remains a polarizing topic. For some, it's an ongoing passion project, something they believe will eventually change gaming forever. For others, it's a cautionary tale, a reminder of the risks of crowdfunding and the dangers of unchecked ambition. And what about those early backers? Many have moved on, chalking their losses up to experience. But others remain, holding on to hope that one day, StarCitizen will fulfill its promise. I want to leave you with a question. What is the cost of a dream? For the backers of StarCitizen, the answer is more than financial. It's emotional, personal, and deeply intertwined with the belief that sometimes ambition can outpace reality. Let us know down in the comments how you feel about this, and please tell us how long have you been in the verse to give perspective to your comment.